Imagine you're sitting in a car going to another day of school. Just then, you hear the blast of a car horn and everything turns black. When you wake up, you find out one of your arms was just severed. You now envisage your life, trying to type on a keyboard with the same speed and accuracy as before, or playing a musical instrument with the same skill as before. Then it is announced that you will receive a prosthetic arm. You now feel more comfortable living with a prosthetic arm than having no arm. Prosthetics relates to the replacement of missing body parts with artificial structures which imitate, to a certain degree, the original functions of the body parts. These structures include prosthetic arms and legs, as many of you know, but also promising new devices such as the bionic ear, eye, and even prosthetic hearts and lungs. Prosthesis, however, has a long history. False toes from an Egyptian mummy dating around 600 BC are believed to be the first prosthetic body parts.
Okay, so today's prosthetics can be split into three main categories of interest: limbs, the five senses, and inner body prosthesis. So firstly to limbs. We rely on our limbs for so many things we do today, especially those we take for granted. For those unfortunate enough to be missing limbs, living normally becomes immensely more difficult. Throughout history, many attempts have been made to replace missing limbs, but they have not been efficient or practical, and are often extremely cumbersome. Today, thankfully, the story is much different. In the new millennium, we have seen over a dozen prosthetic prototypes, both arms and legs, using latest advances in electromyography and movement coordination. The first example will be in limbs. An ex-Marine from this following clip is able to walk again, thanks to the state-of-the-art Bluetooth connected device. This is one example of the amazing scientific advance. In a few more years, we can expect a sense of touch too being incorporated as well. The walking sticks provide Bluetooth coordination. As I said, touch could also be incorporated, adding to the how genuine it can seem. Okay, many of you will be less aware of the replication of the five senses. They are anamically analyzed, so for example the eye, they are also studied, and prostheses are also developed for them. For example, this clip details bionic eyes, which look more like sunglasses, but they work very well. They have already been able to supply 10-bit images to the completely blind by electrically generating messages to the brain. Okay, and in an interesting one, artificial tongues, yes, that's right, are also on the way. As we understand, the chemical reactions which cause taste. Smell is not far behind in detecting lethal chemicals and such. Okay, we have understood that there are many outside amazing examples of prosthetics, but there are devices just as incredible within us. Artificial heart blocks, for example, and blood vessels can save people's lives with the investigation of new materials in molding and prosthetics. The pinnacle of this technology, however, can be seen in whole organ replacements. Here, an artificial heart is shown, namely the Jarvik heart, providing the same functions as the original heart.
Even with the current advances in prosthetics, perfect replication of the functions of our body, it's still a long way down the road. So, however, nothing is actually really far from our grasp, because as we study like all the limbs and organs and senses in more detail, it becomes easier for us to replicate them. These days, it's already considered an unfair advantage if double-leg amputees like Oscar Pistorius race with single-leg amputees in races. This shows how we already have a significant grasp of prosthetics. If we continue at this rate, we may one day manage to surpass the natural functionality of our body parts and even have voluntary cycles. Daunting as they seem, the possibilities are endless. Even though there may be abuse of prosthetics, they could be used for beneficial purposes, assisting with work and labor, while also giving back the way of life to those who have lost body parts.
There was a time when the loss of a body part meant condemnation to a life of suffering. Now, in the testament to the genius of our species, we have managed to create amazing devices that help those suffering to regain their livelihoods. As our technology continues to advance, doors to new possibilities open up, and the future looks bright.